Hey all, welcome back to the lab. In this video, we're going to be talking about why you should use camelCase instead of camelCase for variable names. So I stumbled upon a Twitter thread that made the best case for a variable name format that I've yet seen. The claim is that camelCase is better than camelCase, and I kind of agree. Here's why. Now, before we dive into camelCase for camelCase, I wanted to make sure we're on the same page with respect to what am I talking about when I say formats. Basically, there are many common ways to format variable names, each with their own pros and cons. Here we see camelCase, screaming camelCase, camelCase, and pascalcase, among others. Now here we're going to be describing and comparing camelCase, which is common in languages like Python and Rust, against camelCase, which is common in languages like JavaScript and C#. Alright, so why is camelCase better than camelCase? The thread author argues that camelCase is better than camelCase as it's easier to read. camelCase has greater contrast in letter heights than camelCase. Higher contrast means easier to read. Easier to read means easier to understand, and understanding code is crucial to working with it well. Thus, camelCase is better than camelCase. And I created a P5.js sketch to try and visualize this difference. Let's make this bigger. And basically what we have here is we have a variable in camelCase, and we can see it exploded out into different kinds. We've got the raw camelCase we have here, the lower camelCase, pascalcase, and camelCase. And here what we've done is we've drawn the heights of the letters onto a grid, so it's a little bit easier to see like what are their actual heights. Don't worry about the -3, it gets confused when you have an underline. But basically we're looking at the ascending height of the letter. And so here we can see for camelCase, the lowest we've got is basically 0, which is the underline. And then for small letters, it's 13, and large letters, it's 17. And so we really have a contrast here of like 0 to 13, a minimum contrast, which is about 13, which is about pixels. So it's pixels, so this will be different on, I think, other fonts and other displays, but we can use this directionally as how large it is. But then if we look at pascalcase and camelCase, we see that all we have are 17s and 13s. And so the breaks between words are actually harder to see. And we can see that just like scanning the actual thing, right? So it's very easy to see where the word breaks are here. But if we look at pascalcase, we kind of have to like scan for it. And sometimes the capital letters and the taller letters are the same size. And so that's really the basis of this argument. For camelCase, the minimum contrast between words is about 13. We can see a very visual, distinct difference between each word break. For camelCase, the difference is only about 4, which is actually kind of hard to see if you're scanning a word. And now this is a pretty big jump in contrast, with camelCase having about 3 times higher contrast in word breaks, which may make it easier to read and scan. And another big benefit of this is that it cuts out bike shedding around edge cases like how do you capitalize an acronym. So some examples of this are like the user ID, which is very common. Do you just capitalize the I in ID or the I and the D? Or for more complicated cases like find CSS string in JS file, are you capitalizing all of CSS and all of JS, in which case it's actually harder to see where the name breaks are? Or are you only capitalizing the first letter? And this is bike shedding, of course, but I actually have had numerous PRs over the years blocked for capitalization issues like this. In camelCase, every word is lowercase, and so you remove some of the bike shedding. Now, why might camelCase still be better than camelCase? And now it should come as no surprise that there was some pushback to this argument. The main counter-arguments were that camelCase is easier to type. Shift in a letter is just easier than, a whole nother letter you have to type. camelCase variable names are shorter, and thus they might be easier to read and obviously to type because you're just typing less characters. And then many languages prefer camelCase in their style guides, so it's just better for consistency overall. I think these are all valid points, and largely consistency in a code base leads to better understandability long term, so shouldn't be discounted. Now, should you switch from camelCase to camelCase? As always, it really depends, and you have to weigh the trade-offs for your own situation. The goal really is around readability of code in order to make understanding it that much easier. And camelCase seems to have an edge here, but if you're mixing camelCase with other casing formats, it can lead to harder to read code overall. As a general rule, you should just pick a format style and then try to make it consistent in your code base. Even better if it's also consistent with the code and environments you use as well, like the libraries, the overarching style guide, because then it's much easier to be consistent both in your first-party code, but also the third-party code they're integrating with. Now, personally, I've been writing Python professionally for several years, and we tend to prefer camelCase over there. It was a bit of a switch from the camelCase I was used to, and things like TypeScript and C# and F#, but largely I've enjoyed the snake case. Going forward, I'll probably prefer snake case for variable names, but stick with Pascal case for classes, modules, and properties, as that seems more consistent overall in the languages that I use. Next, if you want to play around with some variable name casings, check out my snake case for camelCase sketch here on HAMY Games. If you like this post, please leave a like, comment, and share it with your network for the algorithm. And you might also like one of these posts as well. A brief comparison of modern programming languages, TypeScript versus Golang versus Elixir versus Rust versus F#. Might also be interested in 5 reasons F# is a great Python alternative for scripting side projects and enterprise applications. And finally, the HAM stack, a simple, scalable tech stack for building modern web apps fast and cheap. That's it for this video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.